Hello and welcome to today's video. This is going to be a chill, cozy vibe. I've just grabbed a blanket. I advise you to grab a blanket. It's going to be a chill one. I am doing my July wrap up. All the books I read during July, of which there were 11, which totalled 4,147 pages. If I filled in all the pages, nope, I haven't filled in all the pages, so plus about 300 because there's another book that I haven't filled in yet. So yeah, July was an interesting month. It was a good month. I haven't read too much, like 11 books is a lot, but there are a couple of rereads in there, and I've only read one book physically this month. The rest have either been via audio or ebook. I do not own one more book physically than I did at the time because I found a new favourite book this month. I think there is potential for it to become a new favourite series. I've had a great time, a really great time. So yeah, I'm not going to say too much about each book. Any that I don't own physically, I'll chuck a picture in. But yeah, it's been a good month. It's been all fantasy. Yeah, it's been all fantasy or fantasy romance. And I'm loving it. Like, that's what I want. And I think I need to just keep going on this path for a little bit longer. And I'm very happy about that. However, I have renewed my Kindle Unlimited subscription, which I was not planning on doing. I was planning on trying to get through some more physical books this year, but we'll just see where it leads us. So, let's talk about books. The first book that I read during July was Kingdom of the Cursed. This is the second book in the Kingdom of the Wicked series. I think that's what it's called. The first book was called Kingdom of the Wicked, and I gave it 4.5 stars. It was really good. I really understood very quickly where we were leaving off from the last book. So much happened. We found out a lot of things, and we really just like got to know our characters more in like many ways. I really enjoyed getting to like explore this different bit of the world and in discovering things with our main character, but whilst also having the ability to like piece together what was going on for yourself. So yeah, that was that one. I don't have a lot to say. If you haven't read the first book, we follow Amelia and Raph, and in the first book it's kind of a discovery of like what happened to her twin sister who was involved in the investigation, who's a victim, who's a suspect, all that sort of stuff. And this book picks up pretty much exactly where the last book left off, and we discover a lot, and it was great, and I had a great time, and I would definitely recommend this. I don't know what age category it is anymore. I'd say it reads like YA, but maybe like a little bit older, maybe new adult, I don't really know. But I had a good time, I had a fun time, and I'm really happy with it. Then, second book I read in the month is my new favourite. It's a new favourite, and that is The Crown of Oaths and Curses. This is the first full-sized novel in a new fantasy series by J. Bree, who is the same author of the Broken Bonds series. That's how I like knew about this, because I read Broken Bonds last month, the month before, something like that, and this was amazing. It was so good. We follow two people. We follow a main character who is a witch and a main character who is a witch hating prince. I think prince is the correct term. The two characters we know are Rook and Soren, and it's dual point of view, and we see from both of them, we see them both interpret these situations, see them both interpret different things. They are in the same space. Are they on the same side? Aren't they on the same side? Do we know what's going on? So much is going on. I don't want to give anything at all away about this. This is 5 stars. This is a new favourite. Like, I would be incredibly shocked if this wasn't in like a favourites of the year video, because this has blown out of the water so many books that I did think would be in that video. So yeah, on the back it just says, I devoted my life to a king who was not my own. On the road to ultimate honour and glory, I lost everything. Now, in a world ravaged by the whims of those who rule, I must turn my back on a lifetime of friendships and loyalties to face my own fate. The savage prince. Heir to the high throne of the southern lands, he is known for his brutality and cold heart. But with the kingdom on the brink of ruin, I have no choice but to seek him out. The war between the Fae and the witches rages, and there's no end in sight. My destiny is clear. Help the prince defeat his enemies before it's too late. One small problem. I am Ruxbane, Evening Star, a favoured child returned, a witch of the woods, the greatest enemy of my fate's blessed mate. So just from that synopsis, you can kind of tell like the tropes that you might be able to find in this book, and it was just amazing. I knew I needed a physical copy basically as soon as I finished it, and I'm so glad that I've got my hands on one. Definitely going to reread it. Probably will reread it this year because like there's just so much going on in this book, and yeah, it's a new favourite, and I definitely will figure out a better way to talk about this. I will figure out a way to talk more about how I felt whilst reading it without giving spoilers, but essentially like this book was so close to perfect. The fact that book 2 isn't out is so upsetting because like this is like, you know, I think going to be a relatively long series, and there's just so much, there is just so much. Then straight after finishing that book, I wanted to kind of like be a bit more in that world, and there are currently 2 like very short stories out. They are only out as like digital stories. I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that once the entire series is out, all of the short stories that go along with the series will be like bound together, but right now you can only access them digitally. And the short story that I read was The Scepter. I gave it 4 stars. The Scepter follows Rook many years before the main book starts, and we just kind of get to know a little bit about her. It's so super short. It is not many pages at all. It's 87 pages. It's super short, and we literally just get to know a little bit more. I gave it 4 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but like it didn't add anything, and I didn't really feel like it answered much for me. It very much was more of like a nice added bonus. You were meant to read it before the first book, I will say that, and I probably would have enjoyed it more because it would have been more of a teaser if I would have read it with that first book. Well, before the first book, but I read it afterwards because I didn't know about it. I didn't know, so yeah, I do think it's worth a read, but I don't think it's like life-changing, that one. I think it's more of like a nice little bonus added extra whilst, well for me, whilst waiting for the second book to come out. If you're reading it in the right order, it's like a bonus, like get to know the character a bit before we read the main book. Then after that I found a audiobook series on Scribd, which I read the first book of. The book was called Feather. I enjoyed it. It was very angel, like very angel heavy. I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember a lot about it. I've given it 4 stars. I can remember really enjoying it. I can remember having a great time. I can remember really liking our main character and wanting to know more. And I can really remember how like both the main character felt really strong, as well as the relationships that we're building, but also like the supporting characters felt equally as strong, and like you got to know a fair bit about them throughout the book as well. I enjoyed it. It was a great time. I don't think it's going to be that memorable for me. I am going to continue on with the series, but for right now, it was just a good book. It was a good, decent fantasy romance. It was easy to read. It's available as an audiobook on Scribd. I enjoyed it. It was good, but it's just not that memorable. Then I eventually read both Blood Solace and Blood Sanctuary. Those are books 2 and 3 in the Blood Mercy series. I gave both of them 4.5 stars. They just keep getting better and better. The first book that I read, again a couple of months ago, not very long ago at all, we follow 2 main characters. One of them is like the bastard daughter of the king. One of them is kind of like a emissary in training to like a different party, like not on the same side as the king, a different side. And there is an event where everyone's getting together to basically keep everything running smoothly. There was a treaty that has run out, and basically a new treaty needs to be forged, and we see our main 2 characters on very different sides, both of which don't get like a main say in anything. They're both kind of, in terms of the politicalness, they aren't well trusted, they aren't going to get a massive say, but they come together and they can see each other's sides and they can learn from each other a little bit, and it's just a good time. It was really good. Book 1 was, and book 2, expand on that, even more. It was amazing. It was so good. Book 3 was the first time for me where the books kind of split up. So I don't know whether it's because of size, I don't know how it was written. I don't know if you're meant to read book 3 and 4 together, like straight after one another, but book 3 was amazing and then it just ended very abruptly. It is called Blood Sanctuary Part 1 and book 4 is Blood Sanctuary Part 2, but it really did feel like the book had just been like stopped. It wasn't a smooth ending at all, and because of that I couldn't rate it higher, but I still really enjoyed it, and I do feel like I will get some 5 stars out of this series. I'm just trying to figure out how the part 1 and part 2 work still, because I'm really not sure if it should have felt so abrupt, if I should have just continued reading the next book straight away. I don't know exactly how it works, but except for that ending, it was like so good. Then after reading that, I started a new series again, and the first book in that series, which is called like the Harbinger series I think, is Storm and Fury. This is an older YA book. I think it came out about 2010-ish time, and it's by Jennifer L. Armentrout, who is the same author as the From Blood and Ash series. I really enjoyed that one, but I haven't loved any. Like, I really enjoy it. I think it's a really good fun time, but I guess I just don't care that much about like the characters and what's going on. So I want to try it some other series, because obviously vibe with the writing style, and I've got to say I really have enjoyed it. I gave the book 4 stars. We essentially follow a main character who is protected by one kind of like settlement of gods, and gods are living gargoyles. I don't think I've ever explained this book out loud before. And she's protected, and then gods, which are essentially gargoyles from another like settlement, like another like branch of the company, I guess. Like if you've got like a Tesco, I don't know where this is going, I haven't explained this before, but you know, like, so you go to your Tesco supermarket near you and suddenly there's new Tesco employees from a Tesco supermarket the other side of the country there. Like, this is not making sense. Essentially, same company, different places they're stationed. I don't know what it's called and I cannot remember, but this is a crap description. Yeah, so essentially some come, shit goes down, and they need to work together to conclude this shit. Is the very easy way, very basic, horrible way to word it. I don't know. It was fun. It was a really good time. I do enjoy the characters. I will be continuing on with the series. Again, not one that's going to be a new favourite, I don't think, but a solid YA fantasy that still captured me, and I still really felt myself like easily following along with, even now as an adult, which is something that like reading YA as an adult I don't always get anymore. So yeah, definitely really enjoyed it, definitely really like, you know, want to continue on. It'll just be one that I continue on when I want a nice easy quick read, you know, like car journeys, train journeys, anything like that. Really easy to pick up, put down and follow along with, but is very captivating at the same time. Then we have Prince of the Ancients. I read this and gave it 4.5 stars. I'm still now tempted to give it 5 stars. I am. The ending wasn't it for me. The ending really made me feel, you know when you're reading a book and you think you really know the characters and you can understand them and what they're doing, and like, you know, if something was said and it didn't have like said by character name, or like it didn't have speech marks or something, you feel like you just know because you know the characters. I felt like that within the first third of this book, and then right at the very end things happened that I just couldn't associate with the characters that we'd come to know, and that is why it's 4.5 stars, not 5 stars. This is probably the first time I've ever considered like changing my rating further. Like, I don't use 0.25 and 0.75, but for this book I was like, it was so good up until literally like the last 20 pages. I really considered like, should I start using 0.75 ratings too? I'm not, and I didn't, but like I still think like crap, this could have been a 5-star if it wasn't for that very last ending. Like, should I just ignore those last 20 pages? Well, it's a series and I can't ignore those last 20 pages because I will be continuing on. So 4.5 stars. It was really good. It is essentially, there's like as these people who can turn into dragons, like that's their race, that's what they are, and they live and stay in one part of the country, and in the other part of the country like a lot of murder and a lot of violence is starting to happen, and it looks like it's trying to be blamed on them even though they're not responsible. So the prince from the dragon side decides to go and try and explore and figure out what's going on. The people who don't live in the dragon side don't realise that these dragons can turn into people. They think they're always stuck in dragon form, so they're very easily able to blend in when they go and try and figure out what's going on. And we meet up with another set of characters. I don't believe from the synopsis you know who they are, you just know that there ends up being a larger group and they're going on this journey to figure out why these like death and violence happenings are happening. And yeah, it was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. I found it very believable. I found it very easy to follow. I really like the magic system. I like the different sides we got to see. I like the amount of exploration. A lot of this was just traveling, like literally just like walking or riding a horse or whatever, like for a long period of time, but it wasn't ever boring. Like it was constantly something was happening or something was being like considered or thought about or like planned. Like there's just so much, and yeah, really enjoyed it. Really thought it was a solid like fantasy romance, like one of the better fantasy romance I've read. I think like 4.5 stars, so easy. Can't wait to like read further on in the series and figure out how those last 20 pages are hopefully going to be corrected and it's not just that I actually didn't know the characters at all. Then I got around to reading the other short story in the Crown of Oaths and Curses series, and that short story was called The Sword. In that one we follow Soren. I'm pretty sure even closer to the events of book 1, and you know, again it's about 80 pages, something like that, like really not a lot, and it's just like a little insight more. I gave this one 4 stars as well, same as the other short story. I did find there was one point in the main books where we're being told information and I was like, we are being told this, I want to believe this, but I'm not sure how this is known. I'm not sure why this information is being presented as fact when we the reader haven't had this fact. Like, should I trust it? Well, in this book we find out why that is fact, so I did enjoy that part, and I do feel like it would have aided me reading that one before reading the first book, but like not enough to ruin the experience at all. So yeah, definitely recommend still. I would say if you are going to read this series, the Crown of Oaths and Curses, I would read the 2 short stories first and then pick this one up. Then the last book that was read for the first time was A Deal with the Elf King. I gave this 4 stars. I enjoyed it. It was a good time. I don't know if I'll read any more in this series. It's basically like a series of standalones where it's just like a person from the non-magic place has to make a deal, has to marry, has to something a person from the magic place, and we see like the politics, but we're mainly focused on the relationship. It was a fun time. I gave it 4 stars. I'd say if you enjoy fantasy romance that's a bit like lighter, a bit softer, like not so like love at first sight sort of thing, which a lot of fantasy romance seems to be, then I think you could like it. And then last but not least, I reread From Blood and Ash. I've been really struggling to find audiobooks that I want to read for the first time, so I've decided I'm just going to reread whatever I fancy. Like, yeah, I've currently got about 5 audiobooks that I've already read the books for, you know, within the last 3 years. I've just started them, and when I just want an audiobook to listen along to that I don't need to pay much attention to, I listen. So yeah, gave it 5 stars and I reread it as 4 stars the first time I read it. I enjoy this series. It's a really great time. And those are all the books I read in July. So yeah, the camera battery is flashing. I'm gonna leave this here. I hope you had a good cozy time. I hope this was a bit of a chill video. Expect a few more of these coming. I'm just going to be doing a few more sit down type videos of just talking about books. There's so many books I want to talk about. There's so many like favourite books, top fantasy, top graphic novel, top contemporary, all this sort of stuff. I just want to make a bit of content like that, honestly. Like, I just want to talk about the books that I really love and enjoy and figure out ways to articulate properly why I enjoy these books so much. So yeah, over the next few months you will be seeing a little bit more of this. So I do hope you enjoy it. Please do give the video a like if you liked it. Subscribe down below if you'd like to see more content like this, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye!